We were carrying out God's will, and we found some people in our way.
Who is we?
We, the Europeans, who had the message of Christ, and it was our duty to extend and advance that message. And if our message was to teach the savage rather than learning from the savage. Could you imagine learning from a savage?
And would this be a philosophy that you would be at odds with now in the state of mind that you are right now?
Yeah, sure.
So what was this? In a word, I guess it's kind of like a superiority thinking.
Yeah, I mean, I see it even now, there are people among the predominant people of the United States who feel themselves superior. And where did they get their feeling of superiority? Well, from their mother's knee, they were told that only certain nations, even in Europe, are able to produce well, and being leaders in the economic sphere, they're going to be in a position of having to teach those inferior ones. What did Romney say in that Florida session when he was trying to raise money from the big fat cats in Florida, and he was secretly taped and nobody knew it? What did he say? He said there's only 3 or 4% of it who are really the doers, and all the rest are takers. We 3 or 4 are giving direction to the whole bloody world.
That's right. And very few people know that.
Yeah.
We were talking about how you were in the...
96% are followers and takers. I mean, there are so many people in America who just take. And the Democratic Party wants to give them more and more and more. We got to stop them in their tracks.
And what do you think about Donald Trump?
Well, I mean, he's part of the savior. I could talk all day about what I really...
I'd love to hear what you think about Donald Trump, and by mentioning him by name, I would love to hear that, because this is a very, very, very important time of our history of our country right now.
I personally think that Donald Trump is an aberration that we shouldn't ever have let anywhere near the source of power. That our system of election allowed a few people in a few states to bring this guy forth to be the head of the executive branch of the United States of America. It's appalling. He should never have.
What is most appalling about Donald Trump? What is it in his
Not
actions?
just his behavior, which is appalling in and of itself. I mean, it's not that he's a womanizer and all of that, gets a lot of press and has gotten a lot of press. It's what he believes. He believes that he is smarter than anybody else. He doesn't read. He's in a position where people put policy papers in front of him, and he doesn't read them because he knows at his soul level that he knows better than all of that staff that are supposed to be working for him.
Now, we live here in El Paso. We're in El Paso right now.
Right.
So that the people watching this video see. He would have the nation believe that El Paso is one of the most dangerous places on earth.
Right.
And what can you tell Donald Trump about El Paso? And you live with the Mexicans, the majority population here.
These are people who are God-fearing, family-loving people who have respect for nature and for creatures all around them. They wouldn't harm anybody. Sure, there's a few gangs, but compared to New York City, where Donald Trump has spent his life, or Chicago, where other bitter folks complaining about how terrible it is down at the border, those folks live with more chaos than the people in El Paso. People in El Paso live a peaceful, happy, joyful life. And that's why many of us moved to El Paso, to enjoy that culture of living in the sun with happy, loving people. How could it be any better than that? And why do we need a wall? Don't need a wall. Wall is intrusive, separates people.
What is the American so afraid of in building a wall?
The other, I mean, again, there's only 3% of us that we can really trust, and everybody else is a taker. Then anybody who speaks a different language is even more unlike me. I mean, my God, they don't even go to the same church I do. Mm-hmm. They claim to be Christians, but they're Catholic is what they really are. And we can't trust those papists. You know. Yeah.
What I'm sorry. Do you mind giving your name and can you let me put it to you this way? Just your first name.
John.
John from El Paso. In parting, because my battery's running low here, would you have any words that you could pass along to the young people these days on the future of our country and what we need to do to keep it right?
At the political level, which I guess is what we're talking about, which encompasses economic and political and social, we have to get back to basic things that we believe in. The Republican Party has gone off the tracks entirely. The Republican Party was a respectable second party, sometimes in the first position, and they economically found the best of capitalism, but were willing to change American capitalism so it had more humanity, so it had more social elements. So back to basics in the economic sphere and in the political sphere, respect for everybody, helping bring people up rather than making a distinction between them and us. Everybody should participate in our democracy, and our culture has shown that the broader our education, the more we bring people up, the better level of living at economic, social, and political level we have in the United States.
Well, that's absolutely the truth. These are words of wisdom. Thank you so much for your time, sir.
You're certainly welcome.